I think it's a pretty safe bet to say us Football Manager players love finding a bargain, and that's what we'll be doing in today's video. We'll be looking at a team of 11 players, all of which represent amazing value for money, and hopefully these players will be some of your next signings in your save. Hello everyone, Jake here for FMSCOUT, and today we'll be looking at 11 bargain players in FM22. Now this doesn't mean they're going to be Wonderkids, it doesn't mean they're only going to cost £1,000, £2,000, this could be a player that costs 10 million, but what we mean here is players that even with that valuation are worth far more than what you'll have to pay for them, and therefore represent great value for money and true bargains. With that being said, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, we'd greatly appreciate it, and subscribe for more. Let's get into player number 1 and our goalkeeper. So we start off heading over to Monterrey, a club out in Mexico, where we'll find the Argentinian goalkeeper Esteban Andrada, who has 4 caps for the Argentinian national team. Don't pay too much attention to the star ratings in these videos, that is compared to the club you're at, in this case Chelsea, and a lot of these players aren't going to be N'Golo Kantés or Mason Mounts or Reece Jameses, so give them a bit of slack in that department. But in terms of attributes for a goalkeeper, particularly a sweeper keeper, even though he's 30 years old, Andrada looks like an amazing bargain. 6'4" with great physicals, mentals, and some amazing goalkeeping attributes to go along with it. To pay anywhere around £3-4 million for this guy is a real bargain. He has recently joined Monterrey from Boca, so he might not be interested in joining straight away, so it's a good idea to keep an eye on him. But if you're looking for a goalkeeper that you might not always sign, this man could be amazing for you between the sticks. In the right back position, we've got an Englishman from Hull who are in the Sky Bet Championship, the 2nd division of England, and that is Lewie Coyle. This man can play right back as well as right wing back, but he is very nicely balanced in a variety of areas, both physically, mentally and technically, decent going forward as well as decent defending, very nicely balanced mentals, and his physicals aren't too bad either. But the best thing about him has got to be his price point. With 2 years left on his deal, you can sign this man for anywhere around £700,000, £800,000. If you're a lower level top division team looking for a backup fullback, Lewie Coyle could be great, and if you're a team in a 2nd division challenging for promotion, Lewie Coyle might fit your team perfectly. He is wanted at the start of this save by Huddersfield, so there is a good chance if you don't go for him early, the opportunity may pass you by. Send a scout on him, see what you think. I think this guy is a top draw right back for that money. For the first of our 2 centre backs, we head over to Bologna, but before we talk about this player, I'd like to let you guys know I do have my own channel linked in the description, where we're getting very close to 8,000 subscribers, so any support in getting us over to that line will be amazing. I've just dropped a Chelsea takeover rebuild on my channel, so if you want to check that out, I'd greatly appreciate it. Everything you need to find my channel will be in the description, so thank you to anyone who checks it out. But back to the player, and we are looking at the Belgian centre-back Arthur Theate, who is on loan at the start of your save at Bologna and will join them after the end of the first season. So this isn't someone that you'll be able to get instantly, but he is worth keeping an eye on, particularly if his valuation can hold at anywhere around this point. When he becomes a Bologna player, his valuation might go up, his contract will have longer on it, but that isn't to say that you shouldn't scout him, that you shouldn't try and buy him, because the under 21 capped Belgian is actually a very nice centre-back, left-footed with some very nicely balanced physicals. His mentals are impeccable and he can defend as well as pass the ball. He's not going to be the world's best centre-back, don't get me wrong, but you can see the kind of level that he might be able to get to. Mid-table Serie A, he could be a big player for Bologna over the next few years, and who knows, maybe even a centre-back for those teams pushing into the top 6, the top half of the table. For our other centre-back, we're heading over to Nottingham Forest in the Championship, where we will find the Scotsman Scott McKenna. He's a player I spoke about in videos before, and he's someone I think doesn't get enough credit. He is a top draw Championship centre-back and potentially can be Premier League quality. At 24 years of age, he has 22 appearances for the Scottish national team, a regular for them who likes to bring the ball out of defence, which I would actually try and train out of him because his dribbling and his passing and vision isn't great. So if you're looking at purely a centre-back who wants to defend, Scott McKenna can definitely do that job. For around £2 million, you're looking at a player that isn't lacking in too many areas, has bags of leadership as well. He could be your next captain. Depending on your level, of course, this guy isn't going to walk into Chelsea's first 11, but he is definitely still worth the pickup if he feels right in your save. A player that's useful in every save though is Omar Richards, an English left back playing for Bayern Munich's second team. They got him on a free transfer from Reading after playing consistent championship football for a long time. He's way better than that level. He can easily be a top division left back or left wing back. He's got it all, bags of mental ability, physical ability and technical ability too, and he still has potential to get better with a few years ahead of him. The good thing being, in a lot of your saves, this guy will be transfer listed or loan listed by Bayern Munich at some point. But even if he's not, £5-6 million is a great deal. He might be one that a lot of you guys have already came across, but Omar Richards is a brilliant player. Moving into our midfield now, and Joao Aribo is a player that I love to sign whenever I'm doing a rebuild. You might see £10 million and think, Jake, how can £10 million be classed a bargain? Well, as I stated at the start, we're looking for players here that are certainly worth that valuation, and £10 million for the Nigerian would be a great deal. He's 24, he's still got the prime years of his career ahead of him, and he can make a perfect shadow striker. I think he's brilliant at it. He's got amazing dribbling, finishing and first touch, along with some good mentals and physical ability too, with good passing and technique as well. He's 6'2" and he plays for Rangers, and whilst they are a big club in their own right, because of the league he's in, this transfer fee represents nowhere near the level this man can reach. I think he's a great player to at least have a scout on. Check Joao Aribo out, he could be perfect for your tactical setup. Our other central midfielder hails from Portugal. It is Joao Carlos Teixeira, a Portuguese 28-year-old who now plays for FMSCOUT. I don't know how you pronounce that, that's definitely wrong. Famalicão? Who knows? Anyway, they're a team out in Portugal, and he's moved there from Feyenoord recently, where he didn't play too much. He played a bit in his first season. He's had a career sprinkled around the Portuguese divisions. He apparently passed through Liverpool at some point, playing one game for them in the course of being there. I don't remember him, but he is definitely a player that has ability, and this one, I've got to admit, this one's purely on the valuation front. If we have a look and ask the agent about his availability, even though he has only just joined his new club, it might be worth keeping an eye on him, because anywhere around £300,000-400,000 is a great deal for an either-footed player who has amazing technical ability. He could be the difference in a team that's maybe trying to get promoted. I'm not saying he's ever going to make it at a club like Liverpool, but depending on who you're managing, he has the potential to be a massive player for your team. Moving forward now, and on the left-hand side, we have the Montenegrin Sead Hakšabanović, again another name that I'm sure I have butchered, but this guy has 18 international appearances at the age of 22, playing for Rubin Kazan out in Russia. £5 million is a good deal for this guy, who is either-footed, can technically play on both wings across a variety of positions, but is certainly suited to cutting inside from that left wing. Physically and mentally, he's nicely balanced, but it's his technicals where he stands out, with a great ability to dribble in and get a pass or a cross off. An either-footed, technically gifted, left-sided player, they're the kind of things that as Football Manager players love, and if you haven't tried this guy, he could be a great sign-in for your side. We've had one player from Monterrey so far out in Mexico, and we've got another now in Rodolfo Pizarro. He's a player that's actually on loan from Inter Miami, so there will be some hurdles to jump through to get that transfer going through, even if it requires waiting for him. But at the age of 27, he's getting into his prime years now, and for around £2 million, you're looking at a great player. And much like the player we looked at last, he does actually have a decent eye for goal as well. You can play him through the middle as well, behind a striker. He is natural there too, but across the forward line, this guy is certainly a good option. The final two players in this list now, don't forget to like the video if you are enjoying, and £5 million here is going to net you a Brazilian winger with bags of talent, much like we saw with the last couple of players we looked at. Technically very nicely gifted, but this guy is also super balanced in the physicals and the mental departments as well. It's Róger Guedes, who is a player who is out at Corinthians currently. He's been brilliant there since moving from the Chinese Super League from Shandong, and now he is there at Corinthians and doing a pretty decent job. Definitely worth a scout, definitely worth keeping an eye on. This guy, as much as £5 million might seem expensive for this kind of player, I don't think it is, especially when you consider the fact that he's not in his prime years yet. If you get him in some good form, you'll be looking at fetching 15 or 20 million pounds for this guy in a season or so. And we finish off with a striker that you can sign for about £1 million. It is the Bulgarian striker playing for Arda, Toni Yordanov. The 5'11" either-footed striker isn't completely completely amazing, don't get me wrong, but for £1 million, you're certainly getting more bang for your buck with this player. He's got decent physicals, mentals and technicals. I'm not going to say he's world class, but if we do select this advanced forward role, we can see in terms of the attributes that he needs for that role, most of them are at a decent level. He will need some work. He's only 22 and he's never going to be a £50 million player, but maybe in a couple years you can set him on for 10, 15 million depending on form. He can certainly turn into a good goal scorer. He's got the ability, and that bow-footedness will hopefully help him out too. That is the end of today's bargain list of players. Even if they're not the most eye-catching players in the world, they're all certainly great deals and great value for the money you'd have to pay to bring them to your club. If you did enjoy, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and feel free to check out my channel, linked in the description. But most of all, have a great day everyone. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.